Hello, welcome back everyone for another podcast episode of DEVLET magazine. My name is Emre Şentürk, host of the show, founder of DEVLET magazine. DEVLET.com, you can visit and read my articles there. Today I'm going to talk about the perfect politician, which might sound weird because not many people would associate positive things with politicians. Can we blame them? Yeah, probably not. But it's also wrong to think about politicians as inherently corrupt and bad. There must be a recipe for the perfect politician, and today I'm going to talk about it. Before we get to start, I want to once again present you my book, DEVLET. I published it last November. You can buy it on Amazon and other bookstores around the world, so it's internationally available. It takes a bit of time until it arrives because it's print on demand. Because it was self-published, and you can also see here the DEVLET magazine label. Why am I presenting this again? Because the perfect politician has also a very prominent role in this book. Not because I'm talking about the politician, too many times throughout this book, but because it establishes a new state theory. Politicians obviously have an important role in general for the state theory of DEVLETism, and obviously I'm going to take my ideas from here because these are my original ideas, and the whole construct around those things are basically in-house produced. So this book is a good read to accompany all the podcast episodes that you're listening from me, because they can also see what my ideas are in a formulated and written out way. So starting off with the perfect politician, yes, many people have negative associations with politicians, and first of all, I would like to point out that politicians nonetheless are human beings, and my premise is, or one of my fundamental thoughts that I have on human beings is that we act according to the structures that are given to us, right? So if you have a road without limit, right, you're just also abusing that, the absence of the tempo limit. This is a very simplistic account, but just to formulate an analogy to what I want to say is that politicians also just use the structures that are given to them, and obviously they are no better in kind of overcoming their nature and are even more exposed, to all these, how can I say, incentives to abuse those structures because they have the power actually in place. So obviously this means that if the structures lead politicians to some sort of ill behave and act in very corrupt ways, this means that the structures need to be tackled and also be kind of changed and rearranged, obviously. But nonetheless, there are properties and characteristics that politicians need to have and kind of display, develop, and also bring to the table if they want to have the office. And I suppose many of them want to be in a position of power. So the main thing that needs to be actually looked at and be assessed or taken as an umbrella idea, the overarching concept that every politician needs to have is that they need to be 100 or 1000% devoted to their nation or society that they are representing. This means, first of all, this should be obvious, right? I'm stating a very obvious fact, and for everyone it should be clear that politicians need to be devoted to their nation. Obviously, why I'm stating this is because the devotion to the people is actually grounded in the understanding what a nation is. The nation is basically an institutionalized and materially consolidated form of a society. And being devoted to the nation means that you're not only devoted to the institutions and the rules and regulations that come with it, so meaning the power and all the benefits, but also to the society. And the society is actually, an ethnic group that comes together under a common cultural core, and the cultural core is something that is kind of developed through the interaction between society members, or the people that make up this culture. And this cultural core is very important because it gives the certain characteristic and the unique character of every nation through society. So we have culture as the central concept, and this is also why I presented this book earlier. This is a very important aspect to keep in mind, is that cultures actually shape and form or actually constitute the character of every nation. And being devoted to the nation also means that you're not only devoted, as I said, to the power, but also to the people, that make up the society, but even more so to the cultural core, so the unique character of your people. I mean, this is especially important when we think about mentalities and kind of the mode of compatibility of a people with politicians. So politicians usually do not see this cultural core, and this is what why we always say that many of the politicians, they don't know the people, they don't understand what's going on, they're kind of ruling in an elitist way, so they're kind of an elite that's just trying to enrich themselves, and this is because they don't have this attachment to this cultural core. So this is a very important point, actually. Meaning to be devoted to the nation also means that you live and are tied to the cultural core that your society has, meaning that the interactions within those people or within those societal structures are something that you identify with and are part of, and that deeply touch your heart. So this is important, and this is the overarching concept, which is kind of abstract. So I'm going to dig deeper into the technical specifics of understanding how to be devoted and how we can see or what needs to be done structurally in order for politicians to become better at what they are doing. So first of all, and this might come by surprise, another one of the main aspects of DEVLET, no parties. Political parties, and this is something that even Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the kind of the pioneer of the modern democratic thought, said, is the party system is killing basically all the options that we have within a society. There are so many voices, ideas, and ways of developing a society that political parties basically break those down to very few simplified ideas, and they try to apply it to each and every situation. And this is not going to work. The main point that I'm making, however, is that you cannot be devoted to the nation if you think that only one idea is going to fix everything within a nation. Meaning, different situations need different political responses. But if you're a rightist who always approaches the things in the same way, or a leftist who always approaches the things in the same way, or social democrat, green politician, left, right, up, down, yellow, green, blue, whatever, it's not going to work if you try to apply a blueprint to politics. This is the first thing. So you have a technical downgrade in efficiency, basically. Second of all is that with political parties, at some point the party develops an organizational interest, and you can see this within every party. Every party claims, they are acting in the interest of the nation. They are not. At some point they will develop an organizational interest. But just think about it logically. If you have 5 parties and everyone claims to be acting in the best interest of the nation, at least 4 of them are lying. And the fifth, whatever party it might be, they cannot claim to have found the blueprint based on one simplistic account to apply it to the nation all over again. In each and every situation, we have the same approaches to politics and to policy making. This is not going to work. I mean, logically, the party system is long overdue, right? We cannot have a party system and expect that countries, nations, regions, even politics as a concept is going to work in the long run. So parties need to be abandoned. At some point it will happen. But this is also why I think this book is a very interesting and useful and also revolutionary read, because it kind of turns it back on the party system that so many people think is great. And also the problem with political parties is that people come together and kind of develop a group dynamic in which certain characteristics and certain traits and certain behavior is punished and the other one is rewarded. So we kind of develop the people into the position into the position of becoming a prime minister or president or in the ministries, whatever it is, in certain ways that actually is a democratic deficit, because most of the citizens are not in parties and are not part in kind of choosing or electing who is going to be the leader of the party, who are going to be the important people there. So the group dynamic within the party actually determines a lot that people or the citizens don't have control over. And then in the end, it's claimed that this is a democratic system and a democratic way of going about things, which it is obviously not. And then we also have to think about technical expertise, right? A lot of times when we think about politicians, we believe that politics is some sort of matter of opinion, which it is definitely not. If you have an issue, right, with some sort with electricity, the light switches in your house or apartment don't work, so you call an electrician, right? And then you're obviously not arguing with the electrician to say, well, you might think it is because of this and that, but I think you're not right. This is not going to work. Two electricians would not argue about this issue. A plumber is not going to argue with another plumber, which kind of pipe to exchange when it's clear which pipe needs to be exchanged. What I'm getting at is that politics is actually a matter of technicalities. Obviously, there needs to be discourse, and there also needs to be dialogue about policy making, but in the end, this is not a matter of opinion. The problem is that why we perceive politics to be so opinionated is that politicians themselves do not have the technical knowledge about a lot of things that are going on within the parliament and in and around the ministries. So basically, because they have a lack of information and lack of expertise on a lot of things that are going on in politics and policy making, they kind of hide behind opinions and ideas that they express and that sound some kind of catchy, and people actually then think that opinions matter within politics, but it's not. For example, and I think the best example here is economic policy. There's lots to argue about, but there's little to have an opinion about. So, for example, raising interest rates, lowering interest rates, this is a matter of technicality and not a matter of left and right. Social policy, life cycle theory, and this is a very important thing that many politicians do not know. Nations also, just as human beings, they develop in life cycles. They have the early phase and they have the growing phase. Then at some point they peak, they drop again, and when they manage to survive, they're going to see another peak, and so on and so forth. There's a reason why many civilizations have vanished over time. There are reasons why many civilizations are stronger than ever have been before. So this is actually one of the main things that politicians need to know, but they actually do not, so they cannot put it in perspective and act upon it because they don't have the technical knowledge about life cycles of nations. They don't have the technical knowledge about social policies, how to structure urbanization and education policies in a way that makes the nation stronger. They don't have expertise on macroeconomic development and how to balance it out. Well, actually, to be fair, a lot of countries have learned from the 2008 crisis, but we have a long way to go, I have to say. So let's sum up. No political parties, incredible technical expertise is needed here to have the perfect politician. Both things are not present in the current political systems that we have around the world. And then also tied to what I've said about the life cycles is that politicians need to have a long-term agenda. They have to look at the long term. Problem is, for a lot of politicians, or the issue that we see and often experience is that politicians just work from election to election. And obviously this is a short-term thinking, meaning that they try to impress the citizens, and the citizens say, okay, well, we reward this politician by electing them at the next election. Then you will see that the nation kind of cannot progress in the bigger picture. Sometimes politicians need to make decisions that citizens do not support and do not like, because they cannot put it into context what it would mean in 200 years from now, because nobody is going to live in 200 years. Why should they care? They want to have immediate satisfaction, immediate wealth. They want to have immediate relief and progress. However, a very good politician needs to see where his nation is going to be in not even 200 years, in 500 years. This is very important. And they need to consider it, and they need to put things in place that will bring the nation there. And even if these things are unpopular, and as it often is the case, many things will take a lot of time until they get to the point where they actually kind of turn into something positive. But in the beginning, they will consume much energy and require a lot of effort. People don't want to have this, so citizens are voting against those people, speaking from the current political perspective. So a lot of politicians, and there we are with the structures, a lot of politicians, they just focus on the short term and try to get elected, get the power, and maybe do some good for the next 10 or 20 years, and that's about that. So a great politician actually thinks about the long term a lot more than he does think on the short term. So this is a very important aspect. Finally, and this is the last point that I want to raise here, is that politicians themselves, next to being devoted to their nation and bringing all this technical knowledge and stuff, this is just a logical continuation, is that they need to be the pinnacle of human development. And this is on a more personal level, so what the politician needs to bring to the table personally. And here I mean that politicians really need to represent every aspect of life on a very high level. A politician needs to be fit physically, needs to know how to play instruments, needs to have incredible knowledge on history, political history, military history, art history, whatever you can think of, right? The perfect politician needs to know all the military strategies and tactics at a very high level, The perfect politician needs to know about the technicalities of social policy, family policy, societal development, needs to know the geography of the nation and the surrounding countries very, very well, needs to know about the resources there, how resources are processed, needs to know about technicalities in physics, chemistry, biology. The perfect politician needs to know about astronomy, needs to speak at least 2 or 3 languages next to the mother tongue. It needs to read, write, and be present and at a very high level and develop at an extremely high level in every aspect of life thinkable. Sounds very ambitious, to be honest, but in order for the nation to progress, politicians need to really embrace this. They need to become the perfect human being, basically, in order to be the perfect politician. Obviously, those people also need to be morally correct. They need to be socially correct. They need to be good speakers, generous people, have good souls, and so on and so forth. These are very important aspects, and politicians need to strive to be that and represent that, because they are representing the nation. And because they are representing the nation, why should they represent their own nation anything less from perfection? This is so important that politicians also kind of inherently do this and want to be that. They should want to be role models to each and every citizen. They should live the perfect life of a citizen within that nation. And therefore, they need to be, in every aspect of life, they need to be top of the charts. Of course, they will have certain areas of expertise, and this is perfectly fine, and this is what makes their unique character, and so on and so forth. Obviously, they need to be very educated and knowledgeable within the field of political science and history, obviously, but in the end, other areas of life, they cannot neglect them. It's very important that politicians keep them and also develop themselves within those aspects of life further, in order to represent the nation from the standpoint of perfection. This is obviously not for 100% doable at all times, but there needs to be a genuine ambition and the want and the kind of the how can I say it, they need to be very, very passionate about to be that person that they can represent their nation and with all the stuff that they're developing at. So be it arts, sports, just to name kind of the bottom tier things next to astronomy and physics, chemistry, biology, all the things that I've just said. I'm just repeating myself at this point, because this is extremely, extremely important, and they need to strive to become that person each and every day, day in and day out. Very important. So, summing up, is the perfect politician is obviously very devoted to his nation, fully. And there's no doubt about the pride and the love and the passion that this person has to his nation. And then obviously what needs to be done and what kind of other aspects kind of bring, does the perfect politician bring, is no party affiliation and no affiliation to what organization soever that claims to be acting in the interest of the nation. This might be church, this might be other religious groupings, this might be ideology next to the state ideology whatsoever. So basically no organization that can develop a separate interest from the nation. And then obviously a high level of technical knowledge of all aspects that relate to the craft of politics and statecraft. And then in the end, obviously, the Terminator profile of the politician, meaning that the politician needs to be the person and represents the person or the whole nation within the one person that he or she is. So I hope you enjoyed this little talk about the perfect politician. Keep in mind, politics in itself is not bad. Politics and politicians in themselves inherently are not bad. They are not inherently good either. However, the structures make what we currently have, and obviously this is in a lot of countries, and I might speak for a lot of you, the situation is not very great. We don't have the greatest choices in a lot of countries regarding politicians, and to be fair, currently there are very few politicians that even come close to what I've just described as the perfect politician. So guys, hold strong, and maybe you're the next one up. So I hope to see you soon. Think about DEVLET, or order it now. It's down below, the link. So I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Until next time, and bye.